What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another match preview stream as Spurs face Fulham at Craven Cottage to right those wrongs of the Carabao Cup. Second round it was earlier on this season when we did crash out on penalties. We have further then since beaten them in the league not long after that. But yeah, we need to right those wrongs of Craven Cottage, don't we?
I think it's more important just to make sure we're consolidating that top 4 place, and even cutting the gap to the top 3 to 8 points would be fairly significant going into the international break. And obviously we want to put even more pressure on Aston Villa, who play Sunday away at West Ham. If we can win on Saturday night, we obviously go above them, with them going into that game having to win away at West Ham. So that's going to be really, really crucial. But look, we face a Fulham team who recently are in good form, especially at home. They've been turning some teams over. So it's not going to be an easy game. But for me, that's the most crucial thing here, carrying on that momentum we built at Villa Park and making sure we're consolidating our position in the race for top 4.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. And we're going to do it a bit differently this week. We're going to go into the predicted lineup first, and then we're going to go into the match review. So in terms of Ange, he's been talking about his injuries and stuff like that going into this game. So what have we got?
It's some mixed news from Ange. He revealed Mickey van der Ven is definitely going to be missing this weekend, but he said that the hamstring injury is definitely nowhere near as significant as the one he picked up against Chelsea back in November. And they think, he said, that the international break is actually coming at a good time for him because it means he probably won't miss too many games. They hope to have him back after the international break. So that's positive in a sense that he's not missing for too long, but obviously negative that he is going to be missing this weekend. More positive news though, Richarlison has trained this week and is set to be available for the game this weekend if he comes through training today. So that's really good to have him back and available. But more negative news coming about Manor Solomon. Apparently he's been making no progress, and he says that the medical team are now going to have to use, quote, other strategies to try and get him back fit as he's still feeling discomfort. So really disappointing news there on Manor Solomon. But obviously the other long-term absentees, Sessegnon and Fraser Forster, remain injured. But yeah, really, really concerning about Solomon, considering, we haven't seen him since October time. He's had a few setbacks now, and it seems as though they're at the end, like they're running out of ideas in terms of getting him back fit at this point, which is really, really worrying to hear.
It's very frustrating to hear that kind of news, because it was only like a month ago they were saying that he was close to returning. They were saying he was, going to be in the squad, some rumours were saying, and now it just seemed like there's no return date whatsoever. Ange just seemed a bit like downbeat about the whole situation, and I don't know where we're going to turn with this one. I really hope it does take a turn for the better at some point soon, but there's just no kind of answers for it at the moment, which is really frustrating.
And it's interesting where it leaves us. Let's say if he is out for the rest of the season, not to say that he is, but if we don't see him again for the rest of the season, how we play that going into next season? Do we consider him as one of our options for wingers, or do we move forward and sign wingers in with the view of really not considering Solomon as an option? And if he does become an option, it's just a bonus. It's a worrying situation there.
Very worrying situation. But I guess the caveat to that is that we did only get him for free, so it's not like it's wasted money. Obviously it is wasted on wages, but it is not like that he took transfer budget away from another player that we're going to sign. So I don't think that's a positive to look at, just because it's a space in the squad that needs filling. But if he can't get fit from now to the end of the season, and he goes into pre-season still with that injury as well, then I think you have to plan without him.
Yeah, which is really would be really disappointing from his point of view after getting such a big move last summer.
Yeah, but look, let's get into the predicted lineup. Obviously, a 4-3-3 formation as per usual. Goal is going to be a Vicario.
Yeah, no surprises there. Obviously, he's been brilliant this season. I remember in the Fulham game back in when we beat them 2-0 earlier in the season, I remember at 0-0, he made some real crucial saves. I remember one specifically from a Paulinho header, which obviously kept the game at 0-0, and Spurs thankfully went on to win that game. So hopefully he doesn't have to be too busy in this one, but given the form Fulham are in, I do expect him to, have to bat away some shots and make some crucial saves. So hopefully he's not too busy, but he could be in for an important afternoon.
Yeah, I think so, especially with the form that Ricardo Muniz is in as well. He just seems to be scoring every single week. So I do feel like at Craven Cottage he will be called upon a couple of times. Maybe, I think even a bit more than he was at Villa Park, to be honest. But that's Vicario in goal. Right back is going to be Pedro Porro. You just saw it's night and day having him there ahead of Emerson Royale. He was so vital to us at Villa Park, and he's going to have another top game again this weekend.
Yeah, and Fulham have kind of been rotating their left wingers in recent weeks. Some weeks they've gone for Willian. More recently, they've gone for Alex Iwobi on the left wing. But I think when Porro looks at those challenges, he'll probably be thinking he can get the better of those kind of wingers who aren't blessed in this stage of the career with maybe the dribbling ability or the pace they once did. Obviously, they're very good with close control and stuff like that. But I think Porro defensively will kind of back himself in one-on-one situations against those kind of wingers. They just got to be careful, because especially if they play Iwobi on the left, he's a player who does like to drift inside, play in those little pockets of space. So we just got to make sure we're tracking those runners, and everyone knows who's picking up who if Iwobi decides to play that kind of role.
Right centre back is obviously going to be Cuti Romero, the vice captain. He did put us under a bit of pressure in the first half against Aston Villa, but I felt like he definitely grew into the game and was so vital to us and had a really good game by the end of it. So he's going to be ever so important, as he always is.
Yeah, and given how Fulham play, I think his ability on the ball is going to be even more crucial in this game. Obviously, Muniz is a big physical threat, so we've got to make sure that if he's in the box, he's always being marked and stuff like that. But we know Fulham, I've seen them recently against the likes of Brighton, against Villa. They're definitely a team who like to sit back and exploit the opposition when in the transition. And if for a team sitting back, we need a centre-back like Romero who's able to help us progress the ball up the pitch and unlock defences. And we know he's got the ability to do that, so I think he's got an important role to play in this one.
Left centre back is Radu Dragusin. It's going to be a massive, massive chance for him in his first start for Tottenham Hotspur. Ange has already confirmed in his press conference that he's most definitely starting, obviously, because Mickey van de Ven is injured, and what a chance it is for him.
Yeah, big opportunity. We saw what he did against Aston Villa. He had a brilliant kind of substitute appearance in that second half, and I was really impressed with how he really slotted in and looked really composed. And I hope that kind of appearance will help him settle down for his first start, and I think he's been waiting patiently for it. So I do think he's going to be ready for it. But obviously Muniz is in great form, and he's a big physical threat. So I think when it comes to crosses coming in the box and they're going to be aiming it towards Muniz, Dragusin's going to be the one aerially who's going to be the one who's probably more dominant in our centre-back partnership. So he's going to have a big job on his hands to containing Muniz from those kind of situations. And it's going to be a different kind of threat, but I'm sure he's going to be up to it.
And I was really impressed with the way he was able to play out the back and how confident he looked on the ball as well. So I don't think anyone has any problems with Dragusin just slotting in there at the left centre-back. And you remember when Van de Ven got injured last time, everyone was just fearing the worst, whether it be Dyer, Davis, whoever it may be. But now he got Dragusin there. I think it fills us with a lot more confidence, let's just say that. In terms of the left back is obviously going to be Destiny Udogie, who had probably his best performance in a long time against Aston Villa. Not to say he's been bad prior to that, but against Aston Villa was probably the Destiny Udogie that, at his complete best, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was incredible, I thought, and he was really back to that Udogie that we've seen for many parts of the season, where he's just fearlessly running through the opposition and getting us and the team up the pitch with his incredible ball carrying ability. And in that kind of mood, he's really, really tough to contain. And as we saw against Aston Villa, it took John McGinn trying to basically break his knee to stop him, and even that couldn't stop him because he carried on. So really great performance against Fulham. Last few games they've been playing Harry Wilson left wing, but they've also been known to play D. Cordova-Reid. I imagine they might go for him just so they can try and stop that threat from Udogie, because I think if Harry Wilson plays that position and it's going to be Wilson against Udogie, I think Udogie will be licking his lips at that proposition.
If it is De Cordova-Reid against Udogie, you'd expect quite a number of fouls to happen on that side of the pitch, with them two having quite a battle. Both really aggressive players, aren't they? So it'll be an interesting battle up there, but I do expect Udogie to get the better of it by the end of the game. But that is the back four with Vicario in goal. We're going into the number 6. We're going to look at Yves Bissouma, who last couple of games has been, a lot better than maybe he has been, before the AFCON. And I like his defensive game, but I still want to see him be that driving force through that centre of the park.
Yeah, definitely. I think defensively, he's getting back to his best. On the ball, he's still playing it a lot safer than he did earlier in the parts of the season. But maybe that's part of the instruction from Ange, because arguably, did he make too many mistakes? I believe he's at his best when he is taking risks, but he definitely has been playing it a bit safer. Obviously, against Fulham, he's got the midfield three likely to be Reed, Paulinho, and Andreas Pereira. Obviously, Pereira, on his day, can be a very tricky customer in that number 10 position. Just got to make sure he's not having too much of an influence in the game. But I think the way we set up, I remember the game at Old Trafford, I thought Pereira was just getting all sorts of joy with that space in between midfield and defence. But I don't think he's going to get that same space here, especially because the way Basuma plays. So I think his main job is making sure Pereira doesn't grow an influence in this game.
And look, I think you've got to give Basuma credit, because he was going through a massively bad time of it after those sendings off before the AFCON. And I think he's come back with a bit of a renewed sense of optimism and energy. And these last two games have been a massive step in the right direction for me. Alongside Basuma, we're going to look at Pape Matar Sarr, who's been absolutely brilliant since he's come back from the AFCON. I don't think he's put in a poor performance. I think every performance has been really good from him so far, especially at Villa Park. I thought he was brilliant. He is nursing that back injury. I'm not sure if Ange spoke about it in the press conference, but let's hope he's fully fit for this one.
He didn't speak about it, but obviously we did see him start last week at Villa Park, and he was absolutely brilliant. So maybe it's something he's getting over at this point, albeit he did go off after 70 minutes. I think Sarr's got such a crucial role to play in this game, especially how Fulham like to play. They're very aggressive in the centre, and especially with João Paulinho, who's been missing last few games, and apparently is set to be fit for this one. I think he's got a very important role kind of distracting Paulinho, exploiting that space where either Paulinho vacates because he's concentrating on Maddison, or if Paulinho is concentrating on Sarr, leaving that space for Maddison to operate. So, and as well, we've seen what an important role he plays in creating space with his runs from deep runs from midfield. I think he's such an unsung hero, Pape Matar Sarr. I think, recent weeks he's starting to get his flowers. And I think in this game, in terms of how the Fulham midfield operate, he's got a real crucial role.
Yeah, absolutely. And next to him to make up that midfield three is obviously going to be James Maddison, who's been growing and growing in this Spurs team since his return from injury. Again, I don't think he's put in a bad game since his return, but I just feel like he's getting better and better week on week as he's getting his physical stature back. And I thought against Aston Villa in that second half, he just controlled the game, dictated the tempo of the game, and we're going to need more of the same.
100%. And with João Paulinho likely back in the team for Fulham this weekend, obviously he's going to be up against one of the best defensive midfielders in the league when he's on his game. I think João Paulinho is brilliant. We've seen how much of an influence he can have, even when Fulham are playing against much better opposition. Then he can really be that difference maker to make sure they stay competitive. So I think Maddison's got a really crucial role, and whether that be distracting Paulinho, making sure that all the attention's on him and that leaves space for others, or kind of trying to exploit that space where João Paulinho isn't and trying to get away from players like Harrison Reed. I think Maddison's obviously the magic man for us. He's the key to unlock the door that Fulham have slammed shut, and he's going to be crucial in this game.
Yes, that's a midfield three of Basuma, Sarr and Maddison. So far, apart from Dragusin, the exact same team as we saw at Villa Park. On the right-hand side, we're going to look at Decky. I thought he was really frustrating, Decky, in the first half against Villa, but actually in the second half was probably his best performance of the season.
Yeah, I thought he really turned out to be an excellent display for him. Hopefully that's a sign of Decky really getting back to his best. He's going to be up against Anthony Robinson, who for me is one of the most underrated left backs in the Premier League. He's so strong, he's got broad shoulders, he's so quick as well, and he's going to have to make sure that when Anthony Robinson is running forward and causing a problem on that left-hand side, he provides the width for Fulham, Anthony Robinson. He gets forward a lot, and a lot of the time when Fulham are getting forward down that left-hand side, it's with a view of getting Robinson to the byline and getting balls into the box, and obviously Muniz trying to get on the end of it. Kulusevski is very good at tracking back. He's very good at doing his defensive job. So I think a large part of that is going to be making sure Robinson doesn't have influence, but also when we're going forward, he's going to have to get some joy dribbling past him and using his strength. And I think he's capable of it. I know Robinson's a good player, but I think Kulusevski will fancy getting a bit of joy out of Anthony Robinson.
On the left-hand side, we're going to look at Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson's obviously come under a lot of criticism this season since joining Spurs, but I feel like these last 2 games, you're really starting to see the confidence ooze through Brennan. You know, he came on against Crystal Palace, changed the game, and in that first half against Aston Villa, he was the one that looked like could have been the difference maker, got his goal in the second half, and it's just a much better performance levels that we're seeing from Brennan Johnson these last couple of games.
Definitely, and I think going to be up against probably Timothy Castagna on that right-hand side, and I think who's a defender who you could argue similar level, similar kind of style to someone like a Matt Cash, from Aston Villa. And I think Johnson will be looking at that situation, think, I can physically get the better of him. I'm faster than him. I can get to the byline. I can get past him. And I think Castagna is one of those right backs who's like a decent level, but if he comes up against a player who's faster than him, he can kind of struggle occasionally. So Johnson's got to look to exploit that and just carry on the good form he's shown in the last few weeks, because he definitely seems to have leveled up and it seems to have got this extra sense of confidence and arrogance about him. So I think it's really important he carries that on against Fulham, and build on that momentum. Yeah,
and he knows the qualities that he has, Brennan. And I don't think he's been playing to that for his most time at Spurs. You know, too many times he's been getting the ball, tracking back and not taking on his man. But these last 2 games, he's just looked so confident. It seems like the confidence has been oozing out of him. Maybe those last-minute goals did it for him. Even when he wasn't performing well in those games, he came on, got those last-minute goals, and I think his stature in the team and his confidence has grown from that. And you saw straight from the first few minutes in that game at Aston Villa, he was looking to take on his man, and I want to see more of the same from him this weekend at Craven Cottage. But we all know who's going to go in the number 9, and that is Heung-min Son, albeit Richarlison is fit, so there is a case to say Son maybe moves back out to the left and Richarlison goes up top. But I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Son has just been so good in that number 9. He has to stay there.
I think it would be a mistake to shuffle with the forward line, considering how fluid they looked, especially in that second half against Aston Villa. I think Son's numbers in the 9 speak for themselves. I don't think you can really take anyone out of that front 3 given their last performance. So I think Son has to play up front. And also, I believe Son did start in the 9 against Fulham back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in October time when we won 2-0. He did end up with a goal and an assist. I think Adarabioyo wasn't playing that day, but I think Son's already got experience playing in the number 9 against his opposition and getting a lot of joy. So I think he has to start, and I think he's in fine form. Playing in that number 9 position now. It's now 14 appearances, 11 goals, and 4 assists. So he's really doing a great job in that position, and it's going to be crucial with having his clinical edge if we're going to take all 3 points in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's run through that lineup with you guys one more time. It's Big Vic in goal, Pedro Porro right back, Udogie left back, Romero and Dragusin as the centre back pairing, Bissouma, Pape Matar Sarr and James Maddison in the 3 in the middle, Kulusevski on the right, Brennan on the left with Heung-min Son up top. We both said 2-1 to Spurs in our Predict the Prem show. Are you sticking with it?
Yeah, I do think it's going to be a tough game. We've seen Fulham recently starting to really play a lot better than they were at the beginning of the season, and they've been a much tougher opposition. Obviously, they beat Arsenal at Craven Cottage back in December, and more recently battered Brighton 3-0, 3-1. In their last home game.
Bournemouth 3-1, Brighton 3-0.
It was 3-0, yeah. So they really took them to the sword in that game and played a really good counter-attacking game, because it was one of those games that Brighton had a lot of possession, but Fulham just ruthlessly countered them. So I think they're going to have a plan coming into this, but I just think the momentum we've got from that Villa game and the way we know we can play and the quality of the team, I think should take us through. I see it being a close game, but I think the quality should shine through, and I think we'll win 2-1.
Yeah, I kind of feel similar to you. I think we are going to miss something without the recovery pace of Mickey van de Ven when they do catch us out and maybe spring on us. But I do think Dragusin's got enough quality to cover the back line with Kuti, Romero. So I think it's going to be a really tight game at Craven Cottage, really tight. But I just feel like the clinical edge of Sonny and the quality that we do have up top is going to be the difference in this game. So I'm going to stick with 2-1 to Tottenham as well. But that is our predictions. That is our predicted lineup. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let us know in the live chat as well, what scoreline do you think it's going to be at Craven Cottage? 5:30 kickoff.